Good morning, dear students. Welcome to the online video classes. Today we are going to study history and civics, and the chapter which we are going to study in history is A Changing Time. Now let's start with So my dear students, today we will discuss about Reformation, Industrial Revolution and the impact of Industrial Revolution. Now let's start with Reformation. The Reformation, alternatively named the Protestant Reformation or the European Reformation, was a movement within Western Christianity in the 16th century Europe that posed a religious and political challenge to Catholic Church and in particular papal authority. Although the Reformation is usually considered to have started with the publication of 95 Theses by Martin Luther in 1517, there was no schism between the Catholic Church and nascent Luther until the 1521 Edict of Worms. The edict condemned Luther and officially banned the citizens of the Holy Roman Empire from defending or propagating his ideas. The end to the Reformation is disputed. It could be considered to the end with the enactment of the Confessions of Faith. Other suggested ending years relate to the Counter-Reformation or the Peace of Westphalia. From a Catholic perspective, the Second Vatican Council called for an end to the Counter-Reformation. Now we will study about the Industrial Revolution. Industrial Revolution, now also known as the First Industrial Revolution, was the transition to new manufacturing process in Europe and United States. In the period from about 1760 to sometime between 1820 and 1840. This transition included going from hand production methods to machines, new chemical manufacturing and iron production process, the increasing use of steam power and water power, the development of machine tools and rise of the machinized factory system. The Industrial Revolution also led to unimpeded rise in the rate of population growth. Textiles were the dominant industry of the Industrial Revolution in terms of employment, of output and capital invested. The textile industry was also the first to use modern production methods. The Industrial Revolution began in Great Britain, and many of the technological innovations were of the British origin. By the mid-18th century, Britain was the world's leading commercial nation, controlling a global trading empire with colonies in North. Now we will study about impact of the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution brought about dramatic changes in nearly every aspect of British society, including demographics, politics, social structures and institutions, and the economy. With the growth of factories, for example, people were drawn to metropolitan centers, and the number of cities with population of 20,000 and more than in England and Wales rose from 12 in 1800 to nearly 200 at the close of the century. As a specific example of effect of technological change on demographics, the growth of coke smelting resulted in a shift of population centers in England from south and east to north and west. Technological change also made possible the growth of capitalism. Factory owners and others who controls the means of production rapidly became very rich, and as an indication of the economic growth inspired by new technologies, purchasing power in Great Britain doubled. The total nation income increased by a factor of 10 in the years between 1800 and 1900. Such changes also brought about a political revolution in the nation's political structure. Industrial capitalists gradually replaced agrarian land and owners as leader of the nation's economy and power and structure. The Industrial Revolution is one of the most significant events in human history and had a profound effect on many nations throughout the world. While the Industrial Revolution first began in Britain in the 18th century and took place throughout the centuries that followed, its impact can still be seen in our lives today. For example, the Industrial Revolution led to many of the followings: the growth of socialist movements, the labor movements, feminist movements, urbanization, and other modern consumer society. One of the primary causes of the Industrial Revolution was emergence of laissez-faire capitalism. As an economic system, capitalism is a highly individualistic ideology in which government plays a little role as possible in the economic decisions of the country. Now we will talk about some effects of Industrial Revolution on the society. It had affected working conditions, living conditions, urbanization, public health, and life expectancy, child labor, working class families, and the role of women, the emerging middle class, wealth and income. Now that we have looked at how and why the Industrial Revolution occurred, it's time to consider its effect on the people. We learned that industrial production increased tremendously, bringing wealth and power to Great Britain throughout 19th century. But we have yet to explore the effects of industrialization on society, on daily living, and other working conditions of common people. What was life like for the average industrial worker? Was living in a new industrial city and working in a factory an improvement over life in the countryside? Did the new factory life change for the better the role of family members, including women and children? Were people healthier? In general, did the Industrial Revolution improve life for most people? To answer these questions, we will look at the various primary sources account to gather evidence from the people that actually lived through this time and period. Since the Industrial Revolution was so new at the end of 18th century, there were initially no laws to regulate new industries. For example, no laws prevented business from hiring 7-year-old children to work full-time in coal mines or factories. No laws regulated what factories could do with their biohazard waste. Free market capitalism means that the government had no rule or role also in regulating the new industries or planning services for new towns, and those who controlled the government liked it that way. Only a small minority of people, that the wealthiest, could vote in England at this time. So during the first phase of the Industrial Revolution between 1790 and 1850, British society became the first example of what happens in a country when free market capitalism has no constraints. you will learn about the effect of Industrial Revolution on living working conditions, urbanizations, child labor, public health, working class family, the role of women, emerging middle class, economic growth, and income of the country. Now, Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, two gentlemen thinkers, realized that industrialization would lead to the formation of two categories of people in the society, means rich people who have their property and the working class people, those who are working for the property owners and are poor. Therefore, they thought of a way in which a property could be owned by all and the benefit of buying and selling of goods could reach every individual, irrespective of their social status, and the idea became known as socialism or Marxism. The need of new resources, raw materials, new markets for finished products, and the areas of investment of capitals resulted in a colonialism. So, through this, we had studied about the impact of Industrial Revolution on the society. So, my dear students, today we have discussed about Reformation, Industrial Revolution, impact of Industrial Revolution. Before this video, we have discussed about Renaissance and the discovery of new sea routes and some scholars of Renaissance period. In our next video class and the last video of this chapter, we will discuss about imperialism, causes of imperialism, impact of imperialism, and the last one from the chapter, study of modern history, their resources. So, till then, have a nice day and thank you.